If you listen to mainstream financial advice, they'll tell you the solution to being broke is simple. Earn more. Spend less. Invest the difference. It sounds airtight on a spreadsheet, but what if I told you that your bank account isn't the problem? Your brain is? There are 5 psychological traps hardwired into your thinking that silently drain your money every single month. And they have nothing to do with how much you earn. I fell for all 5 of them. 3 years ago, I was making more money than ever, and my bank balance was lower than when I started. Now, I have to give you a warning. Trap number 3 is the one that nobody talks about. And it's probably costing you right now without you even realizing it. Here's the uncomfortable truth most personal finance content won't tell you. Personal finance is not a math problem. If it were, everyone with a budget spreadsheet would be wealthy. But go look at the data. 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Not 60% of low-income Americans. 60%. Period. I call this the spreadsheet lie. The belief that knowing what to do is the same as doing it. You already know you should save more. You already know you should spend less. But knowing and doing are separated by a wall of psychological wiring that evolved thousands of years before credit cards existed. Your brain was designed for a world of immediate threats and scarce resources, not direct deposit and one-click purchasing. And that brings us to trap number 1.3 years ago. I received a 15% raise at work. I thought that was the moment my financial stress would finally vanish. I imagined a life of ease, a growing savings account, and the end of my paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. But 6 months later, I was sitting at my kitchen table looking at my bank statement in a cold sweat. Despite making more money than ever, my balance was lower than when I started, and I was suffering from a uniquely Western disease. Lifestyle creep, but here's how it works. You earn more, so you spend slightly more. The coffee upgrade doesn't feel like a problem. The slightly better apartment doesn't feel like a problem. None of these decisions feel dramatic in the moment. But together, they silently consume every extra dollar you earn. Your expenses don't rise because you're bad with money. They rise because your brain normalizes whatever you have. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You adapt to a higher standard of living faster than you think possible, and the new normal becomes the floor, not the ceiling. The escape? I call this the invisible raise rule. The next time your income increases, immediately route that extra money somewhere you can't see it. A separate account, an automated investment, somewhere your brain can't normalize it. If you never see it hit your checking account, your lifestyle can't creep into it. Now, let's move to trap number 2. Behavioral economists have proven something fascinating. The pain of losing $100 is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining $100. Your brain is literally wired to fear loss more than it desires gain. This made perfect sense when we were hunting on the savannah. Missing out on an extra berry patch was annoying. Getting attacked by a predator was fatal. Your brain evolved to prioritize safety over opportunity. But in the world of money, this wiring works against you. Every dollar that sits in a savings account earning 0% while inflation eats away at it, that's a dollar your loss aversion has claimed. Every dollar you pull out of your retirement accounts to pay for groceries is a dollar that stops compounding in the stock market forever. Every year you delay investing because the market feels too risky. That's decades of compounding you never get back. That I call this the safety trap. Your brain tells you you're being responsible by keeping money safe. But what you're really doing is guaranteeing a slow, invisible loss. The escape is reframing. Stop asking what if I lose money and start asking what if I lose time. Because time is the one asset you can never replace. And the market has never lost money over any 20-year period in history. And that brings us to trap number 3. This is the one I told you to pay attention to. Nobody warns you about this because it doesn't feel like a money problem. It feels like a social problem. And that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. That I call this the status spending illusion. That here's what happens. You see someone driving a luxury car, wearing designer clothes, posting vacation photos from a resort. Your brain does something automatic. It assumes they're wealthy. It connects visible spending with financial success. But here's what the data actually shows. The majority of luxury car buyers are not wealthy. They're high-income earners with low net worth. They're spending tomorrow's wealth to look rich today. And here's why this trap destroys you. It's contagious. When you see peers spending, your brain triggers a social comparison reflex that's been wired into humans for millennia. You don't just want what they have. You feel like you deserve it too. After all, you work just as hard, but quiet wealth is built during the winters that others weren't prepared for. The person who looks rich and the person who is rich are often two completely different people. The first is converting income into image. The second is converting income into assets. And 10 years from now, those two paths lead to radically different destinations. The escape is simple but uncomfortable. Unfollow the people who trigger your spending reflex. Audit who you compare yourself to. Because comparison is the engine of this trap, and you control the fuel. Now, let's move to trap number 4. This one explains why you keep saying I'll start saving next month, and never do. Behavioral economists call this present bias. Your brain dramatically overvalues what's happening right now and undervalues what happens in the future. $1 today feels real. $1 in 30 years feels imaginary. This is why you choose the streaming subscription over the IRA contribution. Why the dinner out wins over the extra debt payment. Not because you're undisciplined. Because your brain is running software that's optimized for right now.in retirement planning. We talk about the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. But present bias traps you in an endless cycle of go-go spending with no-go preparation. The math is brutal. Every dollar you invest at age 25 turns into roughly $20 at retirement. At age 35, it becomes about $10. At 45, about $5. Present bias doesn't just cost you today's dollar. It costs you every dollar that dollar would have multiplied into. I call this the time trap. And the scariest part is you don't feel it working. Every day you delay feels insignificant. But those days compound into decades. The escape? Automate everything. Remove the decision entirely. When you have to consciously choose between present pleasure and future security, present pleasure wins almost every time. So take the choice off the table. And the final trap is the anchoring effect. Here's how it works. The first number you see dramatically influences every decision that follows, even when that number is completely irrelevant. Let me give you a real example. You're shopping for a watch. The first one you see costs $5,000. Suddenly, the $800 watch feels like a bargain. But was $800 reasonable before you saw the $5,000 anchor? No, your brain just got manipulated. Retailers use this against you constantly. The original price crossed out next to the sale price. The premium package that makes the standard package feel smart. The car salesman who shows you the loaded model first, so the mid-range feels sensible. But anchoring doesn't just cost you money on purchases. It anchors your entire financial identity. If you grew up thinking $50,000 was a lot of money, earning $80,000 feels like you've made it. Even if that amount barely covers your expenses in your city. I call this the reference point trap. Your financial decisions are only as good as the reference points you're comparing against. And most people inherit their reference points from family, friends, and advertising, not from actual financial analysis. The escape? Run your own numbers. Always. Before every major financial decision, calculate the actual impact on your net worth, your monthly cash flow, and your long-term goals. Don't let someone else's anchor become your reality. At the end of the day, do not let financial shame dictate your decisions. Your life is not a spreadsheet. You don't need a bigger paycheck to start building quiet wealth. You might already earn enough. You just need to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a steward of your future. Dripping water pierces the stone. This represents the power of relentless consistency, not the big dramatic moves, not the overnight success, the small, quiet decisions repeated daily that your future self will thank you for. These 5 traps: lifestyle creep, loss aversion, status spending, present bias, and anchoring. They're not character flaws. They're features of a brain that evolved for a completely different world. But now that you can see them, they lose their power over you. I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 traps hit closest to home? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If this video helped you think differently about your money, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to know the investing mistakes that keep people poor, especially the one nobody warns you about, click the video on your screen right now. Just a quick reminder, I'm a financial educator, not your personal advisor. So, always run your own numbers before making a final decision.